Good evening, everyone. How are you? How's everyone doing this evening? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Can anyone hear me? Make sure I'm muted. Yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe, perhaps. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Type of one in the chat if you can hear. Okay, cool, cool. All right. So I was going to do about an hour Q&A, go over some general concepts. Getting myself back into the swing of things as far as trainings and everything right now, because we lost a loved one that was real close to us. So we're trying to kind of get back into the swing of things. So sometimes that takes a little time, So I appreciate those of you who sent your prayers and thoughts and things like that. That was very appreciative. So for those of you who are new here, freight broker, I think Nalia Ali, I believe, is new, and a few others. Type of one in the chat if this is your first time in our Zoom training. If you're able to type of one in the chat, type of one in the chat. Okay. It's your first time. Welcome, Nalia. If I'm mispronouncing your name, please correct me. Welcome. And we'll do some Q&A for you. So what specific questions do you have, Nalia? I'm sure you knew we can do some. There she is. So general questions. So let me do an overview of what you signed up for, right? And the self-paced training, if that's good enough for you. And then if there's questions that pop up during my overview, then you can say, hey, can you explain this a little bit, so on and so forth. That fair enough? Okay. So Freight Broker one-on-one training for beginners. Welcome you guys to the Logistics Learning Center, Exodus Logistics Learning Center. My name is Charles. I am the moderator and the instructor on the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. Tonight is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our Freight Broker trainings every second and fourth week. Okay, we have our Freight Broker trainings every second and fourth week of each month, Tuesdays and Fridays of those months. Okay, are you able to hear me? Because it looks like Miss Ali was going. Can you hear me? Okay, so every second and fourth week of each month, we have our trainings. If you're in the Freight Broker class, so under Freight Broker 101, the first sub option, there you go, you're unmuted now.
Yes.
Okay, the very first option under Freight Broker 101 at the header at the top is live Zoom trainings. So if you click that, it takes you to our Zoom page where this is where you are now, where you've logged in and, you see the calendar for February. Today is the 21st, so we're having it today. Every second and fourth week, if you notice, the dates are circled and the times are in there as well. So, and then you just click the specific join now button on that specific day and for that specific time. And you log in with Zoom and poof, you are here. So, in the course, the Freight Broker course, once you enroll, you should have gotten an email with the passcode to the guest area, which is this right here. Did you receive that, Miss Ali?
I did, and I'm still unable to get in. It wouldn't accept it.
Okay, so let me put it in the chat here for you. Please say you don't have an Apple computer.
No, I don't. This is an HP. I'm not an Apple person.
So there it is right there. So it's Those are ones.
Oh, okay.
And it's case sensitive. So it's capital. The first letter is a capital letter. The next two characters are numbers. The fourth character is a lowercase letter.
Mm-hmm.
The fifth character is capital. The sixth is a lowercase letter. And then the last three are numbers. Okay.
I copied and pasted. I don't know why. It just said it just wouldn't go through. I'll try it again once we leave.
Okay. Do you know how to clean your browser history, the cookies and everything in your browser?
I do. I can split this and see.
Try that, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay, so once you get into this area here, this is the main area of where you'll be doing your self-paced 90 days self-paced training. In addition to logging into the Zoom training, you can come in here at your own pace, and we're going to be changing this a little bit too, making it more of a university course feel with quizzes and everything in here as well. But getting started is the first column. You have orientation, where you have access to information in the orientation. Just says, hey, welcome, thanks for choosing us, yada, yada, yada. Here's your next steps, right?
Okay.
And then you go back to the freight broker main menu, which takes you back here. And then we get into prerequisites of being what's a pre-requirement or prerequisite of being a freight broker, right? Well, you have to you want to start a business first. You want to create your company, right? And business plan, talk about business plan a little bit. We don't go into a university detail about a business plan, but the high level overview, right? Forming your business, coming up with a business name. We prefer to have the word logistics in that name, in case you have other things going on in the transportation. You may have a trucking company, you may have a dispatching company, you may have other things. But if you have logistics, it encompasses everything. It encompasses trucking, it encompasses dispatching, it encompasses freight brokering. So you come up with a business name, then you have to have a business structure, right? Either a sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, whichever one you decide. Most people, when they first start these types of businesses, decide to go with an LLC, limited liability company, because it protects the personal assets against the business. Okay. And then after that, you attach an EIN to that. Okay. Then we get into the requirements of actually a freight broker. What is required to be a freight broker, right? That's the $1 million question. What's required? What all do I need to get my broker license, right? So to get a broker license, there are certain things you have to have in place, filed with the governing body of the transportation industry. The governing body of the transportation industry is a company called the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. In order for you to be someone who is a logistics provider, someone who arranges for the transportation and movement, or not movement, but for the transportation of freight, which is a freight, that's the definition of a freight broker. Someone who, for compensation, arranges for the transportation of freight. That's what a freight broker does. How do you do that? You get the freight, or you procure it from customers or shippers, and then you use or onboard approved motor carriers to transport the freight. So you essentially are the middle person. That's what a freight broker is. They are the middle person in that process. Okay. What is required for you to be categorized as that person, as a freight broker? What do you need to have a broker license or a broker authority, right? Well, the first thing you would do after you've gotten your business set up, you want to apply. You want to fill out the application on the FMCSA's website, right? So you would go to, and this is for the very beginning steps, right? So the person who's don't even have a clue what to do, right? So it's like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, if it were me, I would go to Google and say, okay, FMCSA, right? Just go to their portal. And Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, right there. This is the main. If I were you, I would make this web address or this URL, fmcsa.dot.gov, I would make it a favorite in your browser, a bookmark, if you will. And then go in here and apply for an MC or DOT or a number, an authority, right? You apply for an authority registration. You are going to apply for not a motor, there's two types of authorities, a motor carrier authority and a freight broker authority, okay? We're concerned with the freight broker authority. And I don't know why it aired out on me, but hey, FMCSA must have something going on with their website. Well, anyway, I can show you here on the back end. So when you go to the FMCSA's website and register, you're going to fill out their digital form called the OP-1 form, which is right here. This is a screenshot of what that looks like, okay? And also here is a PDF in our portal of what it looks like in real time, okay? This is what you're going to see on the website, the 16-page OP-1 form. And if you notice, let me enlarge this a little bit. If you notice, it says application for motor property carrier and broker authority, okay? So because those are the only two things you can apply for as it relates to an authority, an operating authority. You guys want to be brokers, so you're going to select in section 2 the type of authority that you are applying for, right? Any questions so far at this point? Okay. So when you're filling out this form, when you do it online, you have to create an online username and an account. It's called a URS, Uniform Registrations System, where you're doing it online and you have to create that, right? But when you're looking at the PDF, you are just filling out the information on the form. And there's 8 sections. Typically, there's 8 sections on it. The first section, the application section, it just talks about your general, what's your legal name, what's your business name, what's your mailing address, what's your physical address, yada, 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 right? Section 2 is where you have to be careful. Because if you select the wrong type of authority, if you want to be a broker, you're not going to select the first 4 options here. Motor, anything you shouldn't select. Motor common carrier, motor contract carrier of property except household goods, or motor common and motor contract carrier of household goods. Those 4 don't apply to you as it relates to a freight broker. The next 2, the 5th and 6th ones do. Broker of property except household goods, or broker of household goods. You have to decide which one of those 2 you want. And generally, most 99.9% select broker of property except household goods. That's the type that you will select. That's the type, that's the one that you want to be a broker under, because you're trying to broker general freight, general goods. You're not trying to broker a specific commodity, which is household goods. You're not trying to be a broker of only household goods. You're trying to be a freight broker of everything, pipes, frozen goods, general freight, whatever, right? So the option you would select would be broker of property except household goods, okay? Any questions on section 2? You guys got this. Section 3, insurance. Each section, you want to read it right here, like applicants that will operate commercial motor vehicles must complete this section. So is that you? You are a freight broker. You will not be operating a commercial vehicle. You're not a motor carrier. So you would skip this section. It doesn't apply to you. Okay. Section 4, same thing. It's only for vehicle operating applicants. So guess what? You are a freight broker. You're not going to do that section. That's only for the motor carriers. If you have any affiliations, section 5, prior to applying for your authority, maybe you had a trucking company in the past and you still have your MC or whatever, you would put that stuff in here. Otherwise, you would put NA, non-applicable, NA, and keep it moving. Okay. One question, go ahead.
So I do have authority for, I have a box truck. So I have to put that on the application?
So disclose any relationship you have or have had with any other FMCSA regulated entity,
Mhm.
including entities licensed by, these are former licensees like ICC within the past 3 years. So you had your authority within the past 3 years?
Yes.
Okay. Examples include, but are not limited to, a percentage of stock ownership, a loan management. If this requirement applies to you, provide the name of the company, MCFF number, US DOT number, and that company's latest DOT safety rating. And then if you require more space, attach the information to this application here. So, so if I were you, if you want specific clarity, I would call specifically the FMCSA's 866 number or 855 number and let them know, hey, I'm doing an application for a broker authority. I'm filling out the OP1 form. In section 5, it asks about affiliation. So let's go into detail about that. Let's go back to the actual PDF form and go to section 5, where it talks about affiliations. And it should be in this section here, section 1, section 2, type of authority. And this is the actual 16-page PDF that breaks it down and tells you what it is and what it shouldn't. So section 5 is right here. So basically this, what I just read over here is pretty much right here is this right here. Right, you see that? So any business that's regulated by or licensed by any of these, the FMCSA, which you are, your trucking company, your box truck company is regulated and licensed by the FMCSA, the ICC, the FHWA, or the OMCS, and so you fall in that category. So you would just description of the affiliation or relationship. You are the owner of that company, name of the company, MC, DOT, and your latest safety rating, and you will put it in that box right there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And household goods, you are not applying to be a broker of household goods. You are applying to be a broker of property except household goods. So you will skip section 6. Section 7. Now, this is just the short version of it. The one that's online is going to be a little bit more detailed, and it's going to ask you, in addition to these sections, it's going to ask you to list the specific commodities or the specific cargo that you're going to be brokering. Just like when you applied for your motor carrier authority, it asks you what types of commodities are you going to be carrying. And you said, you probably said general freight because you have a box truck, right? You have a 26-foot box truck?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
So I still have it. I just currently leased it to someone so that I can do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's section 7, the scope of the, and this is this doesn't apply to only applicants requesting authority as a motor carrier of household goods must complete this section. So section 8 is basically the applicant's oath, saying everything that I said in the previous section is true to the best of my ability, otherwise I'm guilty of perjury, yada, 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 right? And then you pay and go from there. So that is the application process to get a broker authority or a broker license. Now, you pay that $300 and you submit it to the FMCSA. Before the FMCSA approves that and makes your authority active, there are other requirements that have to be filed with the FMCSA prior to them approving and giving you a broker license or an active authority. The first of which is called a bond. You need a bond in the amount of $75,000. Okay. Now, when you submit the application, pay the $300, your information is going to go in the FMCSA register because it's public information. People are going to see the fact that you have applied to be a freight broker of property except household goods. They have seen, they see that, right? And they have a chance to protest the fact that you've done that for whatever reason. Somebody may not like you, say, hey, you shouldn't be a broker. You was a terrible motor carrier. Why I want you to be a broker? And they'll protest that. So they have the right to do that, but the FMCSA will investigate the claim and see if there's any validity to it, and then get back with you on the other side. This rarely happens, but it's a system that's in place. But it rarely happens. Okay. So during that process, you're also going to receive either via email or in letter form, what's called a grant letter, which has your MC and DOT number. It's not active yet, but at least you know what the number is. It's going to be active pending the result of your bond and other requirements. So the first requirement again is the bond. You need to have a bond of $75,000 filed by a bond company, not the applicant, but the bond company has to file the bond to the FMCSA.
You said 75,000?
75,000, that is the requirement. It used to be 10,000.
Okay.
It used to be 10,000 a few years ago.
I thought it was more, so, okay.
You thought it was what? I'm sorry.
Thought it was more.
You thought it was more?
Because the truck insurance is more, but it's different, I guess.
Right. Because so as a motor carrier, you have to have minimum liability $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, a minimum for the commercial insurance company is $750,000, but most brokers require $1 million if you want to run their loads, and then cargo minimum is $100,000 for the cargo. So when you did your insurance, your BMC 91,
Mm-hmm.
and for the liability, and your BMC 34 for the cargo, those were the numbers there. With the broker side, it's required to have a bond for $75,000.
Okay.
Somebody said, do we need to deposit for the surety bond? So with the surety bond, so let's go back to the bond. So the bond is in the form of two types. It's either a trust fund or a surety bond. What's the difference between the two? And which one do most new brokers apply under, right? So the surety bond is more of a credit-based bond where the bond company is going to check your credit, the status of your credit, your personal credit, because you just established a business, so you haven't had a chance to establish business credit. So the only credit that they have to lean on is your personal credit, right? So the better your credit score, the lower your bond premium for that $75,000 coverage, your annual, because you only pay it once a year. You pay one bond price, it covers you for $75,000 coverage for that year. There is no monthly payments for the bond. It's a one-time payment and it gets you coverage for the year.
Okay, one time.
Right. So the better your credit, conceivably, the lower your premium is going to be for the coverage. So we've seen as low as $750 for a one-time payment for a premium to have a $75,000 bond coverage. Okay, and I've seen as high as $3,000. Right now, the average, I would say between $1,200 and $1,500, because the person's credit may have been like between 680 and about 750 credit score. So that puts you in the realm of about $1,200 to about $1,500. If it's better than 750, then obviously it's going to be lower, your bond premium, 750 or whatever, right? So that's the surety bond. So the bond company, if you go the surety bond route, the bond company is going to file what's called the form BMC-84 to the FMCSA saying, hey, this customer of ours who applied for a $75,000 bond has met the requirements for that. And here is the form proving that to you, FMCSA BMC-84. Okay, that's if you go the credit route with the bond. If you go the trust fund route, in other words, if you happen to have $75,000 just laying around in an escrow account somewhere, then you can say, hey, bond company, here's $75,000, file the form BMC-85, the trust fund, with the FMCSA, letting them know that I have $75,000 coverage for my bond. What is the purpose of the bond? The bond, from a freight broker's standpoint, it shows financial responsibility. that the broker is going to be responsible to their two customers. Brokers have two customers. They have the shippers or the customers, the shippers, and they have the motor carriers that they deal with. So you have to be financially responsible in both cases. If you, for example, with the carrier, if you breach the contract as a freight broker with the motor carrier, in other words, you don't pay them within the terms that you agree with on the broker carrier agreement, that's a breach of contract. And a motor carrier can file a claim against your bond to recuperate the monies that was due to them when you breached the contract, right? You didn't pay them within whatever your terms are, your net 30 or net 45 or whatever the payment terms were. If you didn't offer like quick pay or anything like that, and you just had a straight net payment term, right? Or you did something else between your two customers, the motor carrier or the shipper, that was unethical, irresponsible financially, or just wrong, then both parties have the right to file a claim against your bond in order to recuperate any errors done to them. That is the purpose of having a bond and the purpose of the FMCSA requiring a freight broker, an active authority freight broker, to operate as such. They have to have that coverage, okay? So that's number one. Any questions about the bond? Everybody understands the purpose of the bond? Right? All right, so the second, go ahead, Miss Ali, you want to say something?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay, so the second requirement after the bond, you need to have designated what's called a process server, okay? Someone who is capable of issuing you or serving you claims paperwork, letting you know that someone has filed a claim against you, serving that paperwork, a process server or process agent. You have to designate that. Some brokers in their particular state where they have their license at, or where they live at, they want to be their own process servers. But what about the other states? You have to have a process. It's good to have a process server in every state, at least, that you have a customer in, and every state that you have a carrier that's onboarded to your broker. So what most new brokers and most brokers in general do is they get with process server companies that has representatives in all 50 states. Make sense? Right. So, and then once you find one, it is the process server company's responsibility to file the form with the FMCSA saying, hey, this broker has met the requirements to have a designated or to designate a process server. That form is called the BOC-3, BOC-3, right? Blanket of companies. That's what it is. It's a blanket of companies, all 50 states, covering you in case a claim is filed against you and paperwork has to be submitted to you, okay? That is another requirement. Another requirement is what's called a UCR. Just like with your box truck company, your authority for that, you had to have a UCR for that, your unified carrier registration. It applies for brokers too. With brokers, you can be a freight broker who what's called asset-based, or you can be one that's called non-asset-based, like a 3PL. Assets mean trucks and trailers. Trailers are also considered assets, okay? Trucks and trailers, those are both assets. If you are an asset-based broker, you have one or the other or both. You may have a trucking company under your brokerage or adjacent to your brokerage in parallel with it, right? You're asset-based. Or you could be a new broker who don't have any trucks and trailers, but you have carriers that you have onboarded with your brokerage, but you don't have them personally. So you're non-asset based. In any of those cases, you have to do what's called a UCR, a unified carrier registration, okay? And you could do that yourself. All you got to do is just go to the UCR.gov website, UCR.gov website, and comes up here, and you just put in your DOT number, and you check the box, hit submit, and you start the process of doing your UCR registration online. you don't need a third party to do that for you. You do it, you can do that one yourself. But as far as the bond and the BOC3, those specific third party companies has to file the forms with the FMCSA for you. The applicant cannot do that, but the applicant can do their own UCR, the person who's applying for the authority. Okay. And then that's it for the major requirements. You have some supplemental things like extra insurance, for example, supplemental insurance to make yourself look good in the eyes of the customers. Oh, Candice, you got your hand raised? Go ahead. Unmute yourself. Okay.
Sorry about that. You threw me off on that a little bit. The UCR, because you said it's asking for the DOT number, but
Right.
do we get it?
Right. Remember when you first completed your application, your OP1 form?
Mhm.
Remember I said the FMCSA sends you a grant letter which has your MC and DOT number. It's not active yet, but you have it. You have to do those. You have to do those other things: the bond, the UCR, the BOC3, in order for your MC, your broker MC and DOT to become active. But at least you have an MC and a DOT number, but currently it is inactive until you meet the other requirements.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what was throwing me off, I guess, I didn't realize that the MC, that you would automatically get the DOT number with when you apply for the MC.
Correct.
So
When you apply for
both.
when you apply for operating authority, they issue both to you.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So the supplemental insurance coverages that makes you look good in front of the shippers, typically there are two, but there are more, but the general ones are contingent cargo insurance, which is on top of the carrier's insurance. Contingent cargo, anywhere between $100,000 to $250,000, in addition to what the carrier has on their side. Because as a broker, typically a new broker, you pretty much list yourself as a certificate holder on their insurance to help mitigate any claims and things like that. And then there's also another supplemental type called errors and omissions, E&O. So contingent cargo is CCI, contingent cargo insurance, and then the other one's called E&O, errors and omissions, right? That is to protect you specifically if you make any mistakes on your end. That's at the fault of the broker. Any error or omission. Let's say, for example, you get tendered, or you're giving. When I say tendered, that means the shipper has given you some freight and you've accepted the tender or the loads, right? So you've been tendered some lumber freight and you neglect to tell the carrier, which is rare because lumber is rarely tarped, but you're in an area where it rains a lot. So the shipper says, well, to protect our lumber, it needs to be tarped, right? We need 4-foot drops, 6-foot drops, or 8-foot drops. That's just the length of how far the tarps drop on the sides of the trailers when you put them on there, right? So you neglect to tell your approved carrier that you onboarded to your brokerage that it needs to be tarped. They go to the shipper to pick the lumber up. They strap it in, chain it down, and bind it. But they don't tarp it. Then they transport it for delivery to the receiver, wherever it's being delivered to. It's raining. You didn't tell the carrier that it should have been tarped. They get to the receiver, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be rejected. Whose fault is that? That is your fault as the broker. When you first got tendered that freight by the shipper and accepted that responsibility of tendering that load or moving that load, the shipper explained the requirements. For whatever reason, you either ignored it or you just didn't see it, that it should have been tarped, right? So at the fault of the broker, when the receiver rejects the lumber freight, there's going to be a claim filed because it's going to get rejected back to the shipper. The shipper's going to say, wait a minute, my broker should have told my carrier. So they're going to be a claim. So the insurance is somebody's going to have to pay for something. And guess who's going to pay for it? Well, your E&O coverage is going to kick in and help you with that because that's what it's there for, errors and omissions. You made an error. So you have insurance to cover your potential mistakes. That's what E&O is. So this is what all is required, and some of it's optional with being a freight broker. So now once you get all of that, and let's say you get an active broker license, right? You get an active broker license. And now you say, okay, well, what's next? What do I do next? I have an active broker license. I don't have any. How do I get customers? What do I do next? What is my back end infrastructure supposed to look like? Like, what are my documents? What's my paperwork? What's all of that, right? So the first thing you want to do while you're trying to get customers or shippers, right? You are deciding what your niche is going to be or where you're located in the country. Miss Ali, where are you located in the country? I'm getting it. Unmute yourself.
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, you in the Queen City.
Charlotte.
Uh-oh. I used to be over there. I used to be over there in the bad area.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, me, the area I was in, Freedom
Oh,
and Freedom and Tuckasegee. Tuckasegee.
oh
and
yeah,
Freedom.
yeah. It's a little hot over there. It's a little hot. Yes. So yeah.
So you're in Charlotte. So what you would do is you would say, okay, let's go to Google. Let's say you didn't understand or didn't know yet how to navigate the resources back here, looking for shippers and looking at different tools and everything yet, right? You just started. So you say, well, let's go to Google. Let's go to, let's say shippers, or let's not even shippers. Let's say manufacturers, right? I can type it. In Charlotte, North Carolina, bam, right? So it should pop up with a listing. They got 11 manufacturers here, but here we go. Here's the map. That's what I wanted to see, the map. I'm gonna click the map, open that up so we can get a visual of manufacturers in your area. So the major interstates down there is 77, 277, 85, you know, those major interstates, 485, stuff like that. Right. So here we go right here. And they're pretty much clustered right here also. So, and you guys will do the same thing for your specific major city and interstate, right? Or area, I should say. Usually you want to look in like commercial parks or industrial parks for major manufacturers where you find those things. So you see this here, and you would do your homework before you call. If you're going to cold call a shipper, before you do that, you want to look up on their website about the company and kind of educate yourself, because you don't want to seem green when you first call them. If you look on their website and get an email, then you don't have to call them. You can just send an email and do your pitch as a logistics provider via, because most shippers, they'll read their email before, that I'm starting to learn now in the last 6 months, they'll read their emails before they pick up the phone and talk, right? Because they're busy managing multi-million-dollar facilities, trying to get their freight moved and get capacity met and get these shipments out to their customers at the cheapest rate. So they're busy doing that. So, but they'll take the time to look at their emails either on their phone or at their desk when they come back to their desk. Okay. So, but at any rate, you would want to, you know, research the different manufacturers in your area and see if they have, well, first of all, do you work with brokers or do you have a logistics provider? Are you satisfied with that service? Are you entertaining, or are you considering other logistics provider or other brokers in the future? Can I get some contact information from you, or can I send you my contact information in case there are some emergencies that pop up? Like, let's say your current logistics provider didn't meet the capacity for you on this specific day, and you now have a hot load that needs to be moved. Maybe you can call us. You know, those are the types of things that you would probably present to the potential shipper to let them know, like, hey, this person sounds like they want to be here for me, and they're telling me everything that I need to hear right now, letting me know that they are capable of being here for me. And you can either do that over the phone or in an email format. You know, you want to let them, because you're what's called a problem solver as a freight broker. You want to solve a problem. You have to find out what their problem is. How do you do that? You go to their website, educate yourself about their company, see what type of commodity, because if you call me as a shipper saying, hey, I'm with ABC Freight Brokerage. I just want to know if I can move some of your freight. Really? Okay. What is my commodity? What is that? What is commodity? What do you mean? So you don't know what commodity means. Okay. How much capacity do you have? What do you mean capacity? I got some trucks. That's what I mean. How much capacity? How much capacity do you have? I have access to about 50 to 100 trucks. So if I was a shipper, I would test brokers, right? So I would let them know, how much capacity do you have? And what's my commodity? What types of freight am I moving? In other words, do you have the equipment types? Do you have the equipment type to put my freight on your capacity or on your trucks? Pick them up on time with your drivers, transport them safely and securely to my customer, and deliver them on time. And I don't have to hear about any problems in that process. I don't have to hear about any claims being reported, because if I get a claim on my desk, then you and I are going to have a problem. We're going to have an issue, right? So if you say you're a logistics provider, I expect you to provide logistical solutions, right, for me. So there you go. If you send an email to a shipper, should you send, packet, or attempt to gain permission to send? Right. You want to send the initial icebreaker, James. You want to send the initial icebreaker type of email first to kind of break the ice, introduce yourself, who you are, what type of service you should provide, and then you kind of close the deal there. You don't propose on the first date. In other words, right? You don't want to propose on the first date, unless she Beyonce or something. But you don't want. No, I'm just kidding. I got the ring on. Don't play with me now. But yeah, don't propose on the first date. You want to wine and dine, get to know, build a relationship, communicate. It's a universal concept in anything, right? Whether you're dating someone, whether you being a broker, you want to break the ice first, get to know the person. In this case, the shipper and you, offer a service. See if you can be a solution to a problem. Ask them about what is your toughest lane, right? What is your most stressful shipments that you deal with? What are the problem shipments that you have? Where are they going? What's the commodity? What equipment types do they go on, right? And then you sit back and listen. Once you ask the questions, stop. Sit back and listen and get the feedback, and then take the energy from the feedback and say, okay, well, this is what I believe that we can do for you. You say this is your toughest lane, Charlotte to Atlanta, for a dry van, 10 shipments a week, and their appointed times pick up from your shipping facility, and their appointed times delivering to your customer's receiving facility. And you're having problems with carriers in both cases, you're having problems with carriers with OTP and OTD, on-time pickup, on-time delivery. You're going to hear that verbiage when you talk to shippers. Yes, I'm having issues with OTP and OTD with my logistics providers and their approved carriers. What do you have to offer? You're going to say, what the heck did you just say? Can you repeat that, sir, please? Right? So, but you're in this industry. These are the things you want to hear, right? Yeah, I'm having trouble with OTP and OTD with my logistics provider, freight broker, logistics provider, and their approved carriers. Not their asset-based carriers, but their approved carriers. So these are the things you want to prepare yourself for, okay? OTP, on-time pickup from the shipping facility. OTD, on-time delivery to the customers or the receiving facility, okay? Keep that in mind, right? So you're the problem solver. You're basically having a conversation. This is sales. Even though you're a freight broker, this is sales. Yeah. Miss Ali, you had your hand up.
I do. So once we get into it, it's best to accumulate your drivers first, then, right, before approaching these shippers, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Here's the issue of trying to accumulate drivers first. If I'm a driver and you're a broker coming at me saying you have a brand new brokerage, right, and you want to onboard me as a driver before you even have freight, I'm gonna ask you, well, what? Okay, you want to onboard me to your brokerage. What freight do you have? What loads do you have? Can you keep me running?
Mhm.
Will my factoring company approve your brokerage? Because drivers have factoring companies too.
Mhm.
So there needs to be a balance there. You want to try to get the shippers at the same time you get the drivers. Because if I'm a driver, and most owner operators, they have factoring companies, and the factory companies are going to run credit checks on you, the broker, to make sure that you are factorable and that they can extend you a line of credit for those invoices, those PODs that are going to be turned in by the carriers for payment.
Mhm.
Right? So you have to make sure you find a balance there. Okay. Sharon, you got your hand raised.
Yes, to piggyback off that question, when she asked about the carriers and the broker ratio. So when you first starting out, do the carriers, does the shippers kind of, when they ask you, what's your capacity to move my freight? And you just starting out, so you may not have but one or two trucks at the time. So do they kind of generally work with you like with a low capacity?
If you are honest with them, I really don't advise this, but I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you're going to lie to the shipper. So you say, well, we're in the process of building a carrier network at the moment within the next month or so between 25 to 50 carriers in our network. So if that's enough capacity for you, then we can work together, right? So we're in the process of building our carrier network or onboarding carriers with our brokerage. The one thing we need to have to make sure that they have good paying freight, and you're saying this to the shipper. So you're indirectly telling them like, look, you need to provide us some good tenders so we can give the carriers, because the shippers control the industry because they're the ones who is giving the money away. They're the ones who's paying the tenders, $5,000. They'll give one tender or one shipment $5,000. Now it's up to the broker to make sure that the carrier gets paid the bulk of that money in order to stay motivated to move that shipment for this shipper. But these days you have brokers who are greedy, unethical, or just in the way, right? When you get a $5,000 tender from a shipper, the first thing as a broker you need to check is what that lane is normally paying to the carrier. Either you ask carriers directly without giving them too much information about the lane, because they can go around you and go directly to the shipper, obviously, right? This is a cutthroat industry. Keep that in mind, guys. Okay. So you have to move a certain way, right, to protect your interests. You get a $5,000 load tender from a shipper. You accept that tender. You sign it, turn it back in. Now you are obligated to move the freight. Okay. That's how tenders work. Now you compare, either talking directly to carriers or you go on one of your resources and look up the lane, like trend lines or look at a rate comparison of that lane for that equipment type, things like that. And you see it's paying, I don't know, $3,800 or $4,200 for that lane. You got a $5,000 tender, the carrier is getting $4,200 of it. So you're still making good with $800 on that as a profit margin. But let's say you want to bump that up a little bit to kind of motivate the carrier a little bit more. So instead of 42, you give them 45 and you keep 500. This is just one shipment. If you prove yourself to the shipper by moving that freight in a timely manner, picking it up securely, transporting it safely, and delivering it securely on time, guess what's going to happen? You're going to build up volume with that shipment, more and more loads. So you're making, let's say you go from one shipment a week or a month, let's say a week, to 10 shipments a week. Because shippers are going to test you, especially if they know that you're new. But you were honest enough with them to reveal that, and you guys had a great enough conversation that they were willing to give you an opportunity with their trouble lane. Because they want you to prove yourself to them through their worst lane. If you can solve that problem with their worst lane, what is a lane? I'm throwing this term out. Some people may not know what this is, but a lane is any location you pick up from and deliver to. That is one line haul lane, LANE. So Charlotte, North Carolina, for example, on this map, to Atlanta, Georgia. That's one lane or one line haul shipment movement of freight. Okay, for example, if I was a shipper and I had a lane going from Charlotte to Atlanta, that is a lane. That is a one line haul shipment. So the shipper said, okay, this is my problem lane. If you can prove to me that you can move this securely and safely, I'll entertain giving you more freight. And let's say you do that, right? And they say, okay, well, I got 10 issues now, okay? And they open it up for you. Go ahead, Sharon.
So you said like the shippers would, say that this is their problem lane, or this is the lane that they have a problem with moving the freight in. Is that typically because the brokers that they're coming across either don't have the capacity or not willing to pay the carriers to move the product in that lane?
That is one of multiple reasons why. So there's several reasons why. So it's a problem lane either, let's go on the front end first, the front end, which is the shipper. The shippers are not paying enough in the tenders to motivate the carriers to move the freight. That's the first issue. Let's say that lane pays 42, the shipper gives you a tender of 4,000, but the lane is paying 4,200 to the carrier. So how can you as a broker make your money? You're gonna have to go under, you're gonna have to do it for like 38 or something like that, which is below what the market is paying to the trucks. And truck drivers see this. So they're not gonna move that. So now you're stuck with this tender, like, wait a minute. But you didn't so before you accept a tender from a shipper, you have time to do your research. Before you sign that tender and accept it from a shipper, you want to compare what the lane is paying to the truck and say, okay, is there enough wiggle room in that tender to pay the truck the fair amount and for me as a broker to make a decent amount? Okay, that's what you have to look at. So that's number one problem why sometimes problem lanes are created. Another one is you may have a decent tender from a shipper, but you as a broker, you've gotten too greedy and you're trying to take too much off the top and then give the rest to the carrier. And carriers see that also. You see? So as a broker, you want to find that balance. You want to get a nice tender from a shipper after you've researched and compared what the market pays to the carrier. And you want to give the carrier at least the fair market, maybe more value for that lane in order to motivate that carrier to move the freight, the shipments. Guess what's going to happen? Word of mouth is going to spread. Carrier's going to say, hey, I got a broker that's paying $200 or $300 above the market value for the shipments. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to say, well, what's his number? Other owner operators, what's his number? Let's go jump in his lane and move some of their freight, right? Chasing the money. So those are the things you look for. Go ahead, Sharon.
So in the event that you being a new broker and you get a tender from the shipper and you underestimated the lane, so does that come in bulk? Like they say, like, okay, I need you to move 5 loads or whatever, for this whatever amount you negotiated for. Well, once you've done that, say if you did manage to get somebody to move that commodity in that lane, then can you go back and like renegotiate with that shipper? Like, look, man, you didn't give me enough. We didn't negotiate enough. So this go round, I'm gonna need XYZ amount to move this lane.
If that shipper is willing to move that, yeah. So if you moved the shipment with a carrier and then you go back to the shipper trying to negotiate more, the shipper's gonna say, well, why are you trying to get more when you've moved the freight successfully? I can see if you couldn't move it. This is a shipper talking. Mm-hmm. I can see if you didn't move it with any carriers, you're having a problem moving this freight, then I may entertain adding an extra $500 or $600 on top of the tender, mm-hmm. But you moved the shipment and you're asking for more money. Well, the shipper's like, well, what is?
Okay, so in that case, in my mind thought, I would be like, yes, I did move it, but it was at a loss to my company. Okay. Now I need to, now that I know that lane moves more, and I did take a loss to get your shipment moved.
You know what the shipper's going to say? That's not my problem. You signed the tender.
Right. Well, I'm not crying about what I lost.
Right.
I'm just trying to build a relationship with this shipper, for future loads.
Right. But what if you get a shipper who has that attitude, not attitude, but has that perspective saying, hey, you moved the shipment, you accepted the tender,
Mhm,
You gotta carry to move it.
mhm.
You're asking for more money. You took a loss. That's not my problem.
Then I would just have to cut ties with that shipper.
And that's a decision that you would consider.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
you see the issues with that, right?
right.
Ms. Ali, you had your hand raised. Unmute yourself, please.
How, where would I come up with these prices for the area for the loads? Where is that
So-
coming from?
Okay, so in most cases, you would go on what's called a load board. Let's go to a load board.
Mhm.
And let's go to one that most people are familiar with. That
Well, I know one that's kind of terrible, TQL, with pricing.
Yeah, well, they've been historically terrible. So that is no surprise. So I'm in a corporate that one. So let's put a lane in. Let's talk about a lane that we just talked about in the example, Charlotte to Atlanta, right? So let's go search for a load. We can either do market. Let's do rates. Let's do rates. Let's
Yeah.
look up rates. So there's a feature in here, a rate view, and oh, that's right. I forgot. I would have to register that, and I'm not going to do that. So let's just go to a lane. Let's select a dry van as an equipment type. Okay, tractor, trailer, dry van, and let's look up a lane. Charlotte, North Carolina, to specifically Atlanta, Georgia, right? And let's say 100 miles deadhead from the origin, and 100 miles deadhead from the destination. And we're just going to see what's posted out there. What does the market say right now for this lane? For a van, or from origin, from Charlotte origin to Atlanta destination. Okay. And we're going to hit, we ain't going to put any weights or anything. We're going to hit search, right?
Okay.
So there's 169 up there, but we're going to look at the market right now. This is the market right here. This is the broker. So this is the broker to the carrier spot market rate. That's what that means. So that's what the broker is giving to the carrier. Now the broker may have, the tender may be $1,000, but this is what the broker is paying to the carrier. That's what broker to carrier spot means. And it includes fuel surcharge, okay? Now this is the range. It's between $627 and $780. That's the range. Again, the tender that you got from the shipper could have been $1,000. They could have said, we want to give you this lane going from from Charlotte, North Carolina to Atlanta, and we're gonna present a tender to you to either accept or reject for $1,000. And you have to the close of business today to decide. Okay, that's plenty. It's 9 a.m. I got to 5 p.m. to decide. So I got all the time to research it and make a decision, right? Look up price comparisons, call carriers, and all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. And that's how it usually works. If a shipper presents a hot load to you, they're probably going to give you like an hour or two to decide, because this is a hot load. They need to carry on it right now. It should have got delivered yesterday, right? That's a hot load. So the shorter the time frame they give you, the more of a hot load that it is for that shipper. Keep that in mind. That is important. Okay. So, so here's the broker to carrier spot market. This is what the broker pays to the carrier. All right. So, so let's say that the tender was $1,000. So you're going to make about 200 and some change off of each shipment in this particular example, right? Just to give you an idea of how it works and where do you go to look for rates and for comparisons and things like that. Let's go a greater distance. Let's edit this and go from Charlotte. Let's go to Houston, Texas. Let's go a greater distance, okay, and see what the rates are. So now it's giving you a cents per mile range. Now these rates are down because it should be over $2, but it is $1.93 per mile. It is in the range of $1.81 to $2.11 per mile. How do you figure out the dollar value? What's the distance between Charlotte, North Carolina, and Houston, Texas? How do you figure that out? Well, let's go to a map, right? Let's go to Google again. Right, yes. Stokes just said, let's go to Google and let's go Charlotte. In case you don't know how to use your resources yet, right? In your load board, you don't know how to go. I could have easily went to the resource on the load board, but I said, let's do it the conventional way for those who are just getting started, who don't, right? So Charlotte to, what did I say? Houston, Texas, right? And it is 1,036 and a half miles. 1,036 and a half miles. So here is the map of that. If I can get it to open up. There we go. Right there, right? So everybody break out your calculators. I'm gonna break mine out. So remember, on the load board, we had a cents per mile range, right? We had a cents per mile range, did we not? For this lane, right? This is a lane, right? Charlotte, North Carolina. What is this lane? Let me just ask that. What is this lane? What is this line haul shipment? Where is it picking up?
Charlotte to Houston.
Right, picking up in Charlotte and delivering into Houston. It's picking up from the origin destination, which is the shipper, and it's delivering to the receiver destination, which is the customer of the shipper, which is in Houston, right? So the range cents per mile is $1.81 to $2.11. So we said the mileage was, let's just round up. It was 1,036. So we're going to round up 1,036. So we're going to take on the low end 1,000, because the $1.93 is the average. That's the middle ground. But it's 181 to 211. So what is $1.81 cents per mile times 1,036 miles? And that'll give you the dollar amount of what that's going for. What did you guys get? That's the low end. I got it. I'm gonna write it down on my piece of paper.
I'm doing 1,000.
So $1, remember $1.81.
5.36. Am I right? Is that right?
So 1875.60. So I'm gonna share my screen with the calculator in a second here. I'm gonna do a new share. I'm gonna put the calculator up. And so can everybody see the calculator?
It's small on my screen. How do I make it bigger? It's like that.
My calculator on your screen is small.
Mm-hmm.
How about now?
Let me hit the view. Let's see. Oh, no.
I made my calculator the only thing that's on my screen. I maximize my calculator view. Control, if you hold down the control key on your keyboard and hit the plus sign, it should grow. But I just enlarged mine here. So how about that?
It's still small. I don't know why.
Okay. So
But
on
I
the
understand it when you say it. So
okay, so on the load board, we had a cents per mile range between $1.81 per mile to $2.11 per mile, right? So the low end, $1.81, we took $1.81, 1.81, and we multiplied it times the number of miles in that lane, which was what? 1,036, right?
all right.
Okay, so 1,036 times $1.81 is
1875.
1875 and 16 cents. That's the low end at $1.81. Now the high end at $2.11 per mile, we're going to take $2.11 times the same distance, 1,036 miles, right? And that'll give us the high end range, which is what? 21.8596. Everybody follow me there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the middle range on the load board was $1.93. That was the middle range. So $1.93 times the distance in that lane, which is what? 1,036, right? The distance in the lane is always consistent. The only thing that's changing is the cents per mile, the low end, the middle range, and the high end range, right? So 193 times 1036 is $1999.48. So $1,999.48. So
Mhm.
now, so let's go back to the share of the screen with the load board. And can everybody see that? All right, it should have popped up. I'm sharing my screen with the load board. Everybody sees that? Okay, so now this lane, Charlotte to Houston, covers 1,036 miles. It's paying on the low end, it's paying between this. Remember, this is the broker to carrier spot market rate. In other words, this is what the broker is going to pay the truck. This is what goes to the truck, right? So if this goes to the truck, so the low end is what? 1875. The high end is 2185, and the middle is 1999. It is fair to assume that the actual tender that the shipper is paying on this lane is more than what the broker to carrier spot market is paying. Is that fair? Because if it was equal to or less, then the broker is not making any money. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment? Right? So let's say the broker to spot market on the low end, it was 1875. Let's say it was 2,300. Okay, I'm gonna go about $500 on each. And then let's say on the high end, the 2185 at the cents per mile, it would be 2,600. And then the middle ground is 2,250 or something like that. So that is what the tenders from the shipper is paying. But to answer Miss Ali's question, how would you figure out what the truck is being paid in order for you to decide if you want to take a tender, or if the tender amount that the shipper is presenting to you to sign is enough for you to have enough wiggle room to make a profit as a broker, right? So this is one way to do it. You would look it up on the load boards. Another way to do it is actually if you know any truck drivers or any carrier, you say, hey man, hey ABC Trucking, you call local truck drivers in Charlotte. That's your starting point for that shipper. You say, hey guy, I got a shipment coming out of Charlotte. It's going to Houston for a driver. How much will you guys run that for? Oh man, we'll do it for 2,500. This is the truck saying to do it for 2,500. Not the shipper giving you the tender for 2,500, but the truck says we're going to run that for 2,500. So if you take 2,500, let's go back to the calculator. And this is the truck saying that they want to be paid. The truck driver saying they want to be paid 2,500. You take 2,500 and you divide it by the number of miles, 1036. They're telling you they want at least $2.41 a mile, as opposed to $1.81, between $1.81 and $2.11 a mile. Does everybody understand what I'm doing? Okay. Does anybody have a question about what I'm doing, just to get an idea?
I have one question.
Okay.
One is because I'm just a little familiar with it, about doing the box trucks. I know this is different from the, semis and everything, but how many load boards do you suggest?
As a new broker,
Mm-hmm.
as many as you can, as many that's within your budget as a broker,
Budget.
as far as the monthly subscriptions. The top three, if you can afford three, the top three are probably the best ones. DAT, 1, 2, 3, and Truck Stop.
Okay.
The broker level logins of those load boards. So DAT Power or DAT Express or DAT Power is a broker level. What I mean by broker level load boards are different than carrier level load boards. Broker level load boards give you the ability, well, I should say this first. Carrier level, owner operator level load boards only give you the ability to search for loads and post your trucks as being available, because that's the only functionality that a truck driver needs in a load board. They only need the ability to post their trucks as being empty and available so that brokers can see them and call them And they need the other functionality to be able to search for loads for their trucks. That's all they need. That's all the carrier level load board is. A freight broker level load board should have the ability to search loads, post loads, because you're a broker, search for trucks, and post trucks. You may be an asset-based broker. So you need all 4 features of the functionality of the load boards. You see what I'm saying? As a broker, you need all those
Right.
the whole floodgates. But as a carrier, you only need the ability to post your truck and search for loads. You follow what I'm saying?
So these are just these are live boards for a broker.
Yeah, you are looking at a live board right now. You are looking at
Okay.
yes, you are looking at a live load board. That is correct.
Okay.
So does everybody follow? Is this useful information for you?
Yep.
Okay. So, and we're talking about tendering from shippers. So, but getting the shippers, right? Getting the shippers to say, hey, send me. So after you've won them over with your conversation or your email, and they say, send me your packet. What the heck is that? What is a packet? What is a packet as it relates to a freight broker and a shipper? And what is a packet as it relates to a freight broker and a motor carrier? Remember, as a freight broker, you have 2 customers that you have to satisfy. Remember, you're a logistics provider for the shipper and the carrier. You are fusing those 2 together in an effort to get a shipment picked up and transported and delivered securely and safely. And you need both parties to do that, right? You need the shipper to give you the shipments, and you need the carrier to move the shipments. Agreed? So what is a packet as it relates to the relationship between the broker and the shipper in this case? So let's go to module 3 here in our portal and deal with the packet types. Because since you have 2 customers, shipper and carrier, you should have 2 packet types, shipper packets and carrier packets, right? So in the packets, let's go to the broker shipper packet. So in the packet, broker shipper packet, there are certain documents that are in the packet. The number 1 thing that's in a broker shipper packet is the broker shipper agreement, the actual contract between you and that potential shipper. This is just a template of ours, something for you guys to follow and to kind of get an idea of, right? I said I was only going to talk for an hour tonight, but that's fine. I want to make these points. So thank you, LaDonna. LaDonna's on top of everything. She is an angel. Appreciate her. So the broker shipper agreement is that's an ingredient in the packet. That's one of the ingredients in it, the broker shipper agreement. And I'm going to give you the bare minimum ingredients in a broker shipper packet and the bare minimum ingredients in a broker carrier packet, so that you'll know. So when you're presenting to a shipper only needs to see certain credentials by the broker saying that they are a broker, proving that you are a broker. So if I'm a shipper and you're a broker and you're sending me a packet, I need to see the contract between you and I, the broker shipper agreement. I also need to see, you said you're a broker, so what's the number 1 document a shipper needs to see from a broker proving to the shipper that they are a broker? What do I need to see? Unmute yourself, Ali, Miss Ali. I didn't see.
I would say your certificate and
Or or what's called a license for the
your
broker.
license.
So for motor carriers, it's called a certificate, but for the brokers, it's called the broker license or the broker authority.
I would say those 2 things.
That's so you got so number 1 is the actual contract with the broker shipper agreement, and we have a PDF and a Word version of that so that you can manipulate yours. The second thing a shipper needs to see to prove that you are a broker is your actual authority that you got issued to you by the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, proving that you have a broker license. Okay, so you have a broker license. That's good, right? So now you have that. So I don't need to see your bond, right? And you shouldn't have to send it. This is just a copy of a BMC 84. Because if you have a broker license, what does that imply? That implies you have a bond, that implies you have a UCR, and that implies you have a BOC3.
Mhm.
So would you need to send the bond, the UCR, and the BOC3?
No,
Thank you.
no.
Thank you. Exactly. So because the broker authority trumps all of those things, because you met the requirements to have an active broker authority, why would
Mhm.
you send your bond, your BOC3, and your UCR? You don't need to send them. Your license covered all three of those things. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. All right. I just put them in here so you guys can see what they look like, but I want to make sure that you understand you don't need to see it. You don't need to send a shipper your bond, right? You don't need to send them your UCR or your BOC3 because your license proves that you have those documents, because the FMCSA would have given you a legal license if you didn't have all those things on file. Okay. So only thing we have right now is our agreement and our authority, right? You also need to send your W-9.
Like it does. Oh, that's for payment.
W-9 saying that you are a business with an EIN entity for tax purposes. You are a legal business operating as a legal business according to the IRS.
Mhm.
So shippers need to see that. So you have your, what do you have? So let's notate that. You have your agreement, you have your authority, you have your W-9, right? And if you have any extra certificate of insurance, it's like contingent cargo and errors and omissions, you want to send that COI, because you want to prove to them that you have a vested interest in transporting their commodities safely and securely, and you have the insurance coverage proving that.
Mhm.
Okay. And then if you are a broker with a factoring company, you have a credit application you want to send.
I do have one other question. Is that I guess as a broker and you're being paid from the shipper, if you want it timely, you definitely would need the factory, right?
That is correctly. That is correct. Yes, because it is wise for that reason, and also for this reason too. You want your factory company to rate the shipper, because not all shippers are good shippers, right? Just like in dominoes, not all
That's
money ain't
right,
good
yeah.
money. All money ain't good money. Let's play some
That's right.
dominoes real quick. I'm gonna shake the phones up. Yeah, all money ain't good money.
That's right. I have been shut down by one thinking I was going to get paid, and it was like, oh, his rating wasn't good.
Right.
Right. So.
And so those are the ingredients of the broker shipper packet. That's the relationship there.
Mhm.
Okay. So any questions about that one so far before I get into the before we get off here, I want to get into the broker carrier relationship and what's needed there. No questions there?
I got a question. It just took me a while to unmute. Okay, what you said about the factoring. So when you're trying to look for a potential customer, or whatever, do you just, before you accept a tender, you just well, this broker carrier, but either way, the shipper or the carrier, you just run their MC through your factoring company?
That would be good. That would be a good idea. Yeah, before you, so that'd be one of the vetting process, because you got to vet as a broker, you got to vet shippers just as much as you vet carriers. And you got a factory company to do that, to help you do that. That's great, because shippers have Paydex scores, good or bad, 0 to 100, that rates them according to their behavior. Just like brokers have credit ratings and carriers have issues with their credits and safety ratings and stuff like that. So everybody has a everybody's fair game, in other words. And the factory company is the balancing act and the safety net for all of that. So yes, in addition to checking out the rates before you accept the tender, run that shipper's information by your factory company also to say, hey, is this even a good shipper to consider? Because I'm a little suspect of their tender rate, but I want to put the icing on the cake with you, factory company, just to verify if they are good as far as their PAYDEX scores and their rating.
No.
You know. So yeah, definitely. Okay. So that's the broker shipper packet. So now we're getting into our second customer, right? The carrier. This is our first customer, the shipper. Our second customer, the carrier, we have to, the shipper was vetting us. So we had to send them documents proving to them we are who we say we are as brokers. We sent them our authority, our W-9, our certificate of insurance, and a credit application from our factoring company. Now you could fluff that packet up a little bit more with extra stuff, but shippers don't read that document. They'll throw it in the trash if it's too thick. They just want the bare essentials, qualify you and say, hey, okay, let's roll, let's get going. You've proven that you are a broker, so now start brokering, right? Now, the second part now is the broker carrier relationship and the broker carrier packet. So just like with the broker shipper packet, there is an agreement, a contract, if you will, right, between you and that motor carrier. And this is something that you create also, like you did with the broker shipper agreement, the contract. This is just a template of what one looks like. You do not have to use everything in here. This is just an example, okay? And we have it in Word format as well. Okay, so that's what gets sent by the broker to the carrier, the contract for them to agree to work with you and for you to onboard them to your freight brokerage because you are vetting them, right? So that's the agreement on the broker carrier side, right? I'm making notes of that. Okay, and so what's next is you send also, in addition to the agreement, you send a carrier profile because you want some information for your brokerage from the carrier. You want a profile of them, who they are, who the driver is, what's their MC and DOT number, how would they want to get paid, do they have a factoring company, who their dispatcher may or may not be, their equipment types, things like that, okay? That's what you send with the agreement. You send a profile sheet. You may send a little introductory about yourself, but I'm just giving you the basics, right? The agreement, the broker carrier agreement, the contract, and a profile so that you can get some information from them. Now, here is what you expect the carrier to send to you, the broker, so that you can vet them and qualify them as an approved carrier for your brokerage, just like the shipper qualified you as an approved broker to move their shipments. It's just now in reverse because now you're doing the vetting with the carrier like the shipper did the vetting with you, right? You follow what I'm saying? So what do you need from the carrier? Go ahead, Cascade Transport.
What if you have a TMS that have a RMIS to onboard the carriers? Do you need to get those information manually and just do it?
Right. So that's a great point you mentioned. So the RMIS system, it'll just be an automated process where you would require the carriers what the documents that I'm getting ready to tell you that you need the carrier to send to you. The RMIS or any onboarding system, Assure, Assist, My Carrier Packet, or RMIS, any of those, you would just require them to upload them into your portal of that onboarding software. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. But here are the documents, whether you having them send them to you in an email or whether you having them send them to you by importing them into one of your onboarding software. Most people say RMIS, Register Monitoring Insurance Service. That's what RMIS stands for. That's one form. Another one is called Assure Assist. A third one is called My Carrier Packets. These are popular online onboarding portals that brokers get themselves set up with if they have the budget to do so. most new brokers don't have the finances yet to do that. So they just tell the carriers, just send it to me as a PDF attached to an email, and I'll look at it like that. Okay. But if you are at a place where you can afford an onboarding software, then that's great. All you did was made your brokerage more efficient because you sped up the process of onboarding carriers quicker. Yes, Miss Ali.
What does something like that cost for the assistant?
It varies. It depends on how many of the features that you require for your brokerage. The more features of the onboarding software that you want, then the greater the cost. So you would have to, see what each one offers and see what those features, which ones apply to what you're trying to do for your brokerage.
So that's probably better after you probably build up a clientele.
I would say after, let's say 2 to 3 shippers, and they're giving you you're getting good revenue from that, then you would probably entertain onboarding. That's yes.
Okay.
You want to, everything comes in stages and degrees, right? It's a process, right? Right. So, but this is what you require from the carrier. You want to require a copy of their MC authority or their MC certificate. Remember, on the broker MC authority, it says broker license. On the motor carriers, it says certificate. That's how you can distinguish between the two. Hey, Mr. Broker, you have a broker authority? Yeah, I got a broker authority. Let me see a copy of it. They send you something that says certificate on it. That is not an authority. That is not a broker. That's a motor carrier authority. It's not a broker authority, because a broker authority says license. It does not say certificate on it. Okay, that's a red flag. That's a good catch right there to be able to identify and distinguish. Both of them are authorities. The certificate one applies to the motor carrier. The license applies to the freight broker, but both of them are forms of an operating authority. Okay, so this is the first thing, right? This is the first thing that you would require the carriers to send to you, the broker. Now, remember that relationship now is in reverse. It's not a shipper broker, it's a broker carrier now. So you would require them to send you a copy of their authority. All right. So in addition to the agreement that you sent to them and the profile you sent to them, you want them to return to you a copy of their authority or their certificate. Okay. A copy of their certificate, because the reason why you want a copy of their authority, because you want to say, okay, if I need an approved carrier to transport my customers' freight, I need to make sure that they have the authority to do so, governed by the FMCSA. Does that make sense? You would never give your shippers freight to a carrier who does not have an authority. You just killed your freight brokerage right there. That is rule number. You will never make that mistake ever. Right? This is why you got to onboard and vet and process them. The second thing is you need a copy of the carrier's certificate of insurance. So you need to make sure why do you need a certificate of insurance from the carrier when you're vetting them and onboarding them? Because you need to make sure that the carrier has the proper coverage to ensure what they have the authority to transport. Correct? Not only do they need to have an authority to transport it, but they need to have the insurance coverage to cover what they're transporting. And for most carriers, it is 100,000 cargo and 1 million liability. Okay, so you need the authority, certificate of insurance, and you need the W-9. So just like the shipper needed your W-9, you would need the carrier's W-9, because now you're vetting the carrier to make sure that they are a properly established company with an EIN number for IRS, right? See how this works, guys? This ain't hard. Once you know the steps, right? And then what else you need, if your carrier has a factoring company, like you, the broker, had a factoring company, you were dealing with the shipper, then the carrier is going to send you their factoring company's credit application to run a credit check on you, just like you did on the shipper with your factoring company's credit application to the shipper, right? So the carrier's factoring company now is running a credit check on you to make sure that your credit score, brokers have credit scores and brokers have credit ratings. Make sure that those are factorable indicators so that the factoring company can approve you for a line of credit in order to issue pay advances to the carriers so that everybody wins, okay? And then this is just a notice of assignment. And those are the basic requirements for the broker-carrier relationship. You need the broker-carrier agreement sent to the carrier, and you need the carrier profile sent to the carrier, and then you need the carrier to return to you copies of their authority, certificate of insurance, W-9, and a factoring company's credit application. That's it.
I have one question.
Yes.
So I've saw lately or a lot, often the Triumph pay. Is that better than a factoring company?
Triumph is a form of factoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's just a form. Triumph, Thunder
Where
Funding.
did it come from? I see them popping up everywhere.
They're just one of the bigger ones. You got Loves, you got
Right.
Foley's. We have Seven Oaks, Triumph, Thunder Funding. There's a ton of factoring companies.
Okay.
RTS, OTR is a good one. As a matter of fact, we're ready to put OTR in our portal as another option in addition to Seven Oaks. RTS, it's just so many of them. The thing with factoring companies is you need to check their features, what they offer, their percentages and rates, and you need to understand the difference between recourse and non-recourse. Okay. Once you get into that level of factoring, and if you cannot get a factoring company to send you a copy of their contract before you sign it, that is a red flag. If they want you as a client, they should not have a problem sending you the information for you to read prior to signing anything. Why would you sign something without reading it first? That doesn't make sense, first of all. If a factoring company or any company that you're trying to contract with, for that matter, is what is it? Apprehensive, or that not wanting to send you their contract, then that's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
Can I read I need to read the fine print, but I want to understand what I'm signing, sir or ma'am, before I sign it. That is just standard business practice. If you have a problem with that, then maybe you and I should not have a relationship, a business relationship. Right? Who in their right mind would do that? Right? Sign something without reading it. And I'm not saying that like in a detrimental, in a mean way. I'm just saying in a business sense. Why would you not read? If a factory company or any company that you contract with is not willing to send you their information, okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Okay, and then you just move on to the next one, right? So, that's it for now, guys. I was gonna do it for an hour. I did an hour and a half, but let's see. Mr. Mitchell said RMIS allows us to get the carrier's information from there and then onboard the carriers. Right. Okay. What software do we need to use carrier packet and rate cons? That software, Fishale, is called a TMS system. Some TMS systems produce when you either digitally or electronically through EDI load in the tenders or transfer the data into the TMS system. It produces it doesn't produce the carrier packages, but it produced the rate confirmation, because a rate confirmation is a load tender produced the rate confirmation for the carriers to sign. The load tender is what you are getting paid directly from the shipper. And then the rate confirmation is what the carrier is getting paid from you, the broker, and you're keeping the difference. Okay. So that's how that works. All right. Any final questions? I wanted to be on here an hour. I did an hour and a half. That's fine. But that's fine. Was this, hopefully this information helped you guys with your understanding of that a little bit further, and how to approach the shippers, either cold calling. I would go more the email route at this point, because they read their emails more so than the cold calls and listening to you. So I've been busy with the office. I have over getting that stuff set up too, because I'm going to have in-person trainings now. I'm starting this year in-person training. Thank you for all you guys, the well wishes, the sorry for your losses. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. Thank you for your prayers and your support. That's very much appreciated. So getting back into the swing of things, tomorrow we will be having dispatch training and the rest of the week for freight broker and dispatch on Friday and Saturday. So and we're trying to institute in-person training. I'm trying to put together weekend trainings for current members and then new members as well, where you guys come in, because we have a brand new casino over here too, the Rivers Casino. Want to either have that and then go to the casinos in the evenings, maybe do some bowling, go out to dinner, and then just enjoy each other's company after the training and after talking and I'll have guests come in, talk about, what you guys are trying to do, guest brokers or guest dispatchers as it relates to the dispatching side. So come on in to Virginia Beach and fly on in, enjoy the sunshine, get a hotel, and then chop it up with me at the office. And we'll go from there. But that's coming soon. So I am right now, the lease begins March 1st. I am furnishing the offices and the conference room as we speak. I just mounted the white board, the white dry erase board and the TV in the conference room. My wife and I are ordering conference chairs and tables. My office has been designed with everything, desk and all that stuff. So internet is there, break room. Eventually I'm going to have a vending machine in there, ATM, latest technology. So, and we're going to have every so often you guys come here and have some fun. So sometimes it's good to break away and still be business minded too at the same time. So tell your friends. So, all right, guys. I think that's it for this evening. Hopefully I answered all your questions. Everyone knows how to get a hold of me, correct? Through your email or the text. And we go from there. Welcome to Nalia Ali. She is a brand new freight broker enrollee. So hopefully this information was helpful. And going forward, you have a box truck. So are you getting your loads from brokers, or are you getting them from My Virtual Fleet or Selectors or direct customers?
I have a dispatcher, and then I have some friends in the business, making like in a family of truck drivers and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to be my own individual self over here.
So are you getting good box truck freight in the Charlotte area?
I found like over this holiday or what it was supposed to be, a lot of the better rates came from Amazon and stuff like that. Some of them they were going up and down because of this gas and everything. The gas is the big thing when you're on the driver's side. It's crazy.
The only thing I do not like about Amazon is they're overbearingly controlling.
Yes.
They have a performance matrix that if you don't meet that performance matrix, they can actually take money from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the contract. Most people don't read that, but I would just caution you to be careful there. I'm sure you're already careful.
Well,
yeah, Amazon relay, relay,
right.
1 million plus 2 million aggregate, right, and all these other requirements. So
yeah.
Okay, Sharon.
Fortunately, yeah, I haven't had any incidents, so it's been good.
Okay, cool.
If I may ask Miss Nalia a question about that box truck.
Yes, ma'am.
On my other side, dispatch side, I came in contact with a carrier that was running a box truck. He said he was running for Amazon. So when I asked him what was his RPM, he said 350. I thought that was kind of high, but since you say that you run for them, what are they currently paying?
What is the current what?
What are they currently paying?
Well, now I'm not moving them now, but when it was like over the house, it was like 3 or 4 times the rate. The rates were really, really good. I just concentrated on the hot loads like that. And so they were really, really good. They were going maybe $4, $5, $6 a mile.
Oh, okay.
Because it was better to name your price and let them respond to you when drivers didn't show up because they moved so much freight. So when drivers missed their mark or wasn't on time or didn't show up, that's the perfect time for you to go in and get the money.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. Very good. All right, guys. If anything changes, I will be in the next freight broker training this Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If anything changes, we'll announce it on the Facebook members group. Miss Ali, are you a member of the Facebook? broker?
Yes, I did join. Yes.
Okay, cool. So we move there as well. Okay. Again, welcome and thank you for choosing us as a training provider. Hopefully we give you the value that you want to have from a freight broker's perspective. And I drove box trucks for 10 years, so I kind of have a little history about it.
Okay.
So I know a little bit about, I can, anyway. So, but yeah, it's a good industry. You just gotta know how to navigate it. So, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All righty.
I'm excited. Woo.
Yes. Welcome. So where are you in the freight broker process? Have you yet to apply for your authority?
Well, I have all my business structure and everything set up. I just need to lock down the insurance. Pretty much that's it.
Okay, you said lock down you mean the bond or?
The bond. Yes, the bond.
Okay. Have you chosen a bond company?
I don't know one yet. That's where I'm at.
Well, let's go find you one here. Let's go here in our portal. I don't know if you had a chance to navigate the portal.
I haven't, so I just got into the access right before we got on.
Okay, so under more information in our
Mhm.
portal,
Mhm.
tools/resources. Click that.
Okay.
And we have broker tools, broker documents, broker resources, and broker services. I think it's under broker resources, the bond companies, I
Okay.
believe. Or it's not, it's under broker services. So let's scroll
Broker
down a little bit.
services.
Broker services right here. So under broker services, we have bond companies.
All
right here.
right.
And this is in the portal. You have access to this. All you got to do is just go to that location under tools and resources.
Broker services.
And International Sureties is a bond company. And we actually have a PDF copy of their application. Right? It's a
Awesome.
one-page application.
Okay.
On the application, it says check the box if you have taken Exodus Logistics Learning Center course. That's us.
Mhm.
But these are some of the questions that the bond application asks you right here. And this is one page. I would suggest calling Jessica over at International Surety, and here's her information there.
Okay.
And I will copy it and paste it in the
Okay.
chat. So there. And there are other bond companies. We have Propeller here. We have other bond companies, insurance companies, just different resources here. But that could be a good starting point for you to kind of
Okay.
get some bond questions answered. You know, like what are some of the qualifying things for a bond and things like that they ask you
Okay.
to kind of get you going. So have you started the application for a broker authority, the OP1 form?
I didn't do that yet. I got every other piece set up already. I got the EIN, the DUNS number, I've already started everything else except for the bond. I am familiar with that because my other business, I'm a bail bondsman. So I'm familiar with the bonds. Just not
Okay.
the companies for that, but
Okay.
that's it. Got everything but that.
All right.
Mhm.
All right. There you go. All right. So that's a good starting point for you.
Mr. Charles?
Yes, Fisher.
Yeah, I do have, I recently added a box truck to my DOT and I'm using the basic DAT load board. So what other advice or options do you think I have to use in order to move that on a little bit better?
For a box truck?
Yes.
So are you, when you're on the DAT load board and you're looking for loads for a box trucks, are you putting in the right filters as it relates to a box truck, like 26 feet for the length, 10,000 pounds for the weight, and things like that?
Yeah, I'm using that filter, but as a new, I mean, they changed it. They had another one, and then just they discontinued that app, and we are using a new app. So, see, I'm using it, but I don't know. I didn't get a much loads from there. So
You also want to entertain other load boards in addition to DAT. I would not put, when it comes to a box trucks, I would try not to put my eggs in one basket, because even though DAT is a good load board, there are other ones that can provide you box truck freight as well. We have one in the portal on our dispatcher side, direct freight services. They have loads. You can actually search by the box truck category, or what's called a straight box. You know, they just call it by a different term. So don't limit yourself with just one load board when it comes to finding freight. With that, okay, just give yourself as many options as possible.
So you say we do have on the resources option for other load boards.
So in our dispatcher side, we do. I'm not sure in the, let me go to the main menu on the broker side and see what load boards we have. Right here under load boards, we have, okay, so we have direct freight here. So you do have access to direct freight on the broker side to look at, just to look at loads. But as a broker, I'm not sure why you would be looking. Are you trying to broker box truck loads to the box trucks? Or are you trying to, do you have a box truck and you're trying to find loads for your box truck?
So I'm owner operator now at this moment. So I add my friend to my authority and then try to help each other.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Yeah. So you can, even though you're in the broker course, you can look at this load board, and let me open it up real quick. And you can find loads for a box truck. So let's use that same scenario that Miss Ali, Charlotte, North Carolina, and let's just say anywhere, right? Well, let me ask you, where you located, Fisher? What major city are you in?
Yeah, Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay, so you're from the capital city.
Yes.
All right, so I got two words for you. Go Michigan. So now, Columbus, Ohio, and we're going to say the trailer type. If you look at the trailer type, you should see box truck right here as a category, right there. If you check that, you see, and then see what comes up out of Columbus, Ohio for a box truck. Of course, you can put other filters in there like the date, the length, things like that. Less than 30 feet, because you got a 26-foot box truck. So that's close to category. Less than 30 feet. The weight, less than 10,000. Because is your box truck CDL or non-CDL?
Non-CDL.
Okay, so you just select less than, and then see what pops up. And you don't have anything right now. So let's take away these weight and filters, and it's probably going to still say 0. So hit 4, right? So of the 4 loads, with this case, this is a partial, but it's 21,000 pounds. So it's over the weight. These other 3, this 2,476 and these 2 10,000 ones, they could potentially go in a box truck. You would have to ask, well, right here, it says it right here, the trailer type BT box truck for this one, going from Cincinnati to High Point, North Carolina, for a box truck on the 27th, coming later in the week, which is the following Monday coming up.
Monday, yes.
And then this one at the top, Grove City, which is 11 miles deadhead from Columbus, going to Newark, New Jersey with a box truck. It's a full truckload. So it could be 12 pallets, because you can put about 12 pallets, 12 standard pallets in there, 26-foot
Yeah.
box.
Mhm.
And then that's picking up Thursday, and it's 2,400 pounds, and it's going to Jersey, Newark. The beauty with the box truck in the as compared to the semis is the maneuverability of it, right? You don't have to. You can go down one-way streets. You can do this. You can do that with the box trucks as opposed to the semis. You have more maneuverability with the beauty with the semis is you can haul more freight. You can put more pallets in it, which means more money, right? Unless the value of the box truck freight, the cargo itself may be $1 million cargo, but going in the box truck as opposed to 100,000 cargo going in a tractor trailer. So there are some drawbacks in both cases. With the box truck, you can get through tight spots better than you can with a semi, right? So that's something to keep in mind as well. But yeah, you can, play with that, play with this a little bit to see what you come up with, all right?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sean.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I will see you guys. This recording will be uploaded later this evening or tomorrow morning into the portal, which is right here where it says Zoom video library. This will be uploaded into this area for the month of February, and go from there. Thank you, Regina White Smith. I'm assuming you're a guest.
No, I'm not a guest. Me and my husband, we both joined. So I've been on here probably my third time.
Okay, how are you? Are you in the portal going through the materials and
Yes.
getting the information, learning it? Okay, good. Yeah, we didn't even go through the modules. I mean, these are self-paced modules. Module 1, all about shippers, module 1 has 2 parts, all about shippers and then sourcing those shippers or getting those shippers after you learn about them, who they are and what their job is, what their responsibilities are. And you want to learn how to go after them. What are the techniques and strategies? Sourcing carriers, because remember, module 1 and 2 deals with your 2 customers, the shippers in module 1 and the carriers in module 2. And then we talk about tonight in module 3, the different packets you're going to need once you get the shipper to agree to give you a tender or say, give me a quote on the lane or accept this tender. Okay, well, let me send you my packet. And then the same thing with the carriers that you on board. And then module 4, actually tendering a load, goes over actually getting that load tendered, from accepting the tender, processing it through your TMS system, which we didn't even talk about tonight, transportation management software. That is an electronic system that's used. And I'll go into one like Ascend and show you how to build a load from a tender by a shipper. So you can literally see it as a freight broker and understand how it works. There are several TMS systems out here. The reason why I don't go into it in detail is because you guys are new brokers and you may not be ready for a TMS system from a budgeting standpoint, right? Or even from a shipper standpoint, because you may not even have your first shipper yet. I know people who have 2 shippers and are not using a TMS system yet. They simply use a spreadsheet or some type of database to keep track of the loads or the shipments that the shippers give them, right? So when you get like 5 to 10 shippers and you have all these shipments moving, then you would probably want to consider a TMS system to keep that stuff organized. Transportation management software. It is a combination of a CRM and a CMS. A CRM is a customer relationship management platform, and a CMS is a content management system, which is like a database. So a TMS, transportation management software, fused the 2 together, CRM and CMS, into one integrated ecosystem where you can manage everything at one location. The drivers, the shippers, the loads, reports, accounting, payables, bookkeeping, all in one location. You just have to understand how to navigate that and manipulate it. the TMS system I recommend for new brokers to get starting out, because from a user-friendly standpoint, it's easy to use. It's called Ascend. It's called Ascend. They have a free version and then they have a premium version. I would get the free version so you can practice on how to navigate that TMS system and understand the functionality of it in order to use it. And then it'll just make you a more well-rounded broker when you do decide to actually integrate a TMS system into your everyday brokering. So, okay, just some information for you guys to consider there, right? All right, guys. Well, we pretty much did our 2 hours, essentially. It's 5 minutes till. So I said I'd be here an hour. We actually did 2, so that's fine. It is fine. All right. I will see you guys on Friday. If something changes, of course, we will put that in the chat and go from there. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, guys. Thank you for your time and thank you for your well wishes. And I appreciate that they are all received and greatly appreciated.